Running a business today is absolutely nothing like running a business 20 years ago. Even 10 years ago, there were far less people in the online world specifically. And today we're going to discuss one of the big issues that most online business owners face, and that is around visibility, because we all know it's something that you need. However, there's a huge misconception and some myths that are really prevalent in our online space around visibility that are actually doing more damage than good. So we're going to talk about that today. Now, welcome to the podcast. This is called She's the Business. I'm your host, Jessica Osborne. I'm a marketing strategist and business coach, specifically for women who are online experts, as in you're professionals. You have some expertise that you help your clients with. And my specialization is helping you to stand apart from the crowd with really unique expertise. In fact, it's almost like owning your own category and having the signature system, your signature framework, approach that makes you the obvious choice, so that you don't need to succumb to all these hustle harder mentalities and take on all of these methods. You can have the business that really suits your lifestyle without compromising on your family time. So when I'm talking about visibility, what is it that I actually mean? Well, as you're listening here, you're probably somebody who understands the term and the word well. We don't need a dictionary to understand what visibility means. It means people can see you. So that means that you're not invisible. You're not being ignored when you're present, when they're discovering you online, whether that's on the social media, whether it's on podcasts, on YouTube, whatever platform you're deciding to create your audience on, that you're somebody people pay attention to. They don't just scroll past. Now, gosh, there's so many places that we can go with this. So what I wanted to address to begin with is really the difference in a strategic approach to this and how we need to be thinking about it from a business point of view. And then your on the ground, the micro tactics that are also related to visibility. Now, most people, when they're trying to improve their visibility, rush straight into the micro tactics. They'll do things like, well, I need a hook that stops the scroll, right? And so they're focusing on, how can I write a better hook so that people stop scrolling and they pay attention, without realizing that it doesn't really matter how good your hook is. It's what's behind it that actually makes a difference, because who cares if you're stopping the scroll and people are reading your post if they're not doing anything else? If they're not following you, they're not joining your audience, they're not taking a next step, they have zero interest in what you're saying, it's pointless having the best hook in the world to stop the scroll. So that kind of gives you a really good idea of what this big trap is. It's that people are approaching visibility from the wrong end of the telescope. they're at the micro end, and you really need to start macro with understanding what we're even talking about and when you should focus on it. Because what I see, and this is a huge, very common trend, I don't know if trend is the right word. This is a very common instance or occurrence that I notice in the online world, is that the majority of people are focused on visibility before they actually should be implementing it. Meaning there's not much point amplifying your presence and really trying to get visible if what you have that is visible isn't connecting, it's not resonating, it's not interesting to people. Even though you might think it's interesting and you're like, why isn't it working? I must need to get in front of more people. Actually, that's a big clue that what you've got isn't connecting. So adding more places, more posts, more places for them to find you, really spreading your reach is a giant waste of your time and energy and resources right now, because if they're not connecting, they're not going to connect when there's 10 times more posts, right? So they're not going to connect more if you're up on a stage. I know people who jumped into business really quickly, kind of got set up and were like, right, I need to get out there and get known. And they're not wrong. You do need to get known, but the point being that they actually hadn't got their positioning, they hadn't got their messaging and really who they are in the market. Why should people care? That wasn't really dialed in before they started working on visibility. So they hired a PR coach. They went and spoke on stages at events and just had an audience sitting there kind of a bit vague, going, I don't really get why this is relevant to me or why I should care. And it's not because what they had wasn't awesome and not valuable. It was just that they hadn't figured out how best to draw that out, how best to communicate it to their audience so that the right people were thinking, wow, I really need to connect to this person. And usually it's because we've skipped over these key steps. Now, visibility is something that I'm not saying you shouldn't be focusing on it. I'm saying you should be if you're at the right stage in your business. So when you have positioning that's working, i.e. people are connecting with you, they're joining your audience, and they're the right people. They're not like your friends and your mum and people who know you or randoms, because there are a lot of random people out there on the internet, trust me. You can have all sorts of different people joining your audience, but are they the right people? Well, that should be the test of whether you've nailed your positioning or not. And then it is, do you actually have an offer that is a no-brainer? That's the obvious choice for these people. They're like, yes, bang, I'm in. They're not hesitating. They're not confused. They're not thinking. They're not comparing you to all these other people. Because if that's happening, then that's the sign that we haven't quite gone deep enough, right? So when you have an offer that's working, you're attracting the right people, you just don't have enough of them, that's when you pour the fuel on the fire. That's your visibility. You're like, right, I'm ready to amplify because I have something that is ready to grow. It's ready for more people to see it. I want to expand the volume, then add visibility. So this is tricky for a lot of people because if you go onto your ChatGPT and say, hey, I want to get more clients, how do I do this? They're probably going to give you a step-by-step process of where to post and how to do it. And, oh, shall I make you 10 really interesting hooks? Or can I write your content for you? And it's so helpful at doing that, right? But the thing is that if you put in garbage in, it's just giving you garbage back out. And it's maybe made it a little bit nicer sounding, like put a bit of whipped cream on the top of the garbage. But the thing is, underneath it's still garbage. Now, I'm saying that really bluntly. I'm not saying that your stuff is garbage, like actually, but I hope that you're taking this the way that I'm intending it, which is to serve and to help you, being that if you have not clearly defined it and you're sticking you're prompting ChatGPT, Claude, whoever you're using right now for your content, then it's going to give you back out just a slightly different version of what you put in. Maybe it's going to sound better, but if the substance wasn't there to begin with, it's not going to have it now, because what you gave ChatGPT to work with is not going to suddenly produce substance because they've changed the way that you're wording it. It's not about that. It's actually that you need the really tangible things to go in. The ingredients going in creates the better ingredients coming out. It's like you've gone to give somebody dinner. They're ordering a gourmet meal and you're serving them at McDonald's. It's like, yeah, because you only had crappy ingredients. So the best that you could do was McDonald's. Whereas if you're creating a gourmet meal, you know that you need the best ingredients. You need to go to the butcher, maybe buy that top line steak. Or if you're vegetarian, then you're going to, the most beautiful Whole Foods market. You're getting the best quality ingredients, right? So it's the ingredients that matter. And that going in creates quality coming out. Once you have that, then adding visibility, fantastic. So this is the big trap that's causing so many people in business to feel like this doesn't work. My business is not worthwhile. Maybe I should go and get a job. Why is it not working? I've tried everything. Maybe I need to get on a different platform. You get so many people who are just sort of stuck in this cycle going round and round. trying to figure out what is the thing that's not working. I need to learn how to do this better, do that better. And you can spend years fine-tuning your skills with different social media platforms, with different types of content. You can do courses on how to do better reels and videos and all of that stuff. And like, to be honest, there's never an end to it, because you can always improve. You can always improve everything. Even if you're at the top of your game with the most professional productions, they can still improve. Okay. So you're never going to be rid of that ability to improve it. The thing is, it doesn't take that level of production to create a client or to find a client who's going to go, wow, this is the person I need to learn from, or I need to engage to help me with the problem I'm trying to solve. It actually doesn't. And there's so much proof of this. I have had clients who haven't even had a website, and they've had people sign up with them to work with them. There's people who haven't had social media accounts, and they've managed to have fill their schedule with paying clients. It doesn't really matter what you're choosing to do. It's actually about, do you have an offer that is exactly for the clients that you're here to serve? So do you know what your space is in the market? Have you created a space, or are you just one of many? Even if you've specialized, I'm doing little inverted commas there for those who are listening, even if you've specialized, and I've talked about specialization for years and years and years, now there's so many players in the market. Even most of the time when you specialize, you're still one of many. You're actually just a better generalist. You're not really a better generalist. You're in a pond. You're a type of fish, but there's still lots of them, right? So what makes you stand out? What makes you different? Well, this is going to take a different level we need to go to with that definition of your space, because it's very unlikely, if you're just defining a specialization, that there's no one else doing it already, right? No doubt there is. So we need to create a different way to differentiate now. It's just got more sophisticated. And yes, it takes a little bit more from us to really tap in, not to the external, not to, well, what is it people want? Because, oh, goodness, the list is very long of what they want, right? You can find people who want almost anything. It's not about that. The way that I love to teach people is how to tap into what's within you. Like, what makes you different? What is it that are your particular skills, expertise, experience, that your passion, the different way that you see something? That in itself, when you pull all of these little threads out that really make you, you can come up with what is I'm going to call it a category of your own, that you can own, that there isn't anyone else in, because it's been created from within you. You're not just a specialist in another specialist area where there's lots of other specialists, and you're all saying the same thing. We need to move away from that now, because it's getting very noisy, and that's why so many people are going, well, I need to be more visible. So you're just turning up the noise. You're already in a crowded room, and now you're blaring out the loudspeaker. But everyone else is doing that too. So can you imagine all these specialists all in the room together, all with their own loudspeaker, with their microphone, trying to be heard amongst each other? You're all doing it. So no one's being heard. No one's really being noticed, because everybody's doing that. That's why it's not the answer. The answer begins with you creating your own space so you can be heard and is different, and people see you, they stop, because it's like, whoa, this is speaking to me. This is resonating, because guess what? That's not what everyone else is saying. You've got something that is uniquely yours. And then your offer is the natural next step to that. It is the way that the how of what it is that you do, right? The way that they can work with you, although they may not know that they need to work with you yet, but your offer, it really just delivers them an option of like, yep, and if you want that, here's how you can do it. So it becomes a no-brainer, because it feels like the natural next step. On that, you might be in that place right now where you're recognizing yourself and what I've said, and you're like, oh yeah, I've been focusing on visibility, but I haven't got this dialed in. I haven't got my own space, my own category. I'm no different to the hundreds of other specialists who are also specialists in what I do. If that's you, that's okay. Please don't feel any shame. That is where a lot of us find ourselves. And maybe you used to be in a very small area where there weren't many, and now there's lots. I mean, that's just part of life. It's evolution. It's the evolution of business, our world, people being online, more and more people kind of turning away from work that didn't suit them and starting their own businesses. So it's like, hey, that's okay. That doesn't mean that there isn't any potential. There's loads of potential there. And likely if you've been in this game for a while and you've got great expertise, then you have more potential than most. So I want you to feel encouraged by that, and also encouraged that I'm not telling you that you need a new method. You don't need to add something else to your calendar. In fact, you probably can dial it back, because if it's not working, it's not because of what you're doing. It's actually just because of the ingredients that are going in. So when you dial it back, get more clear, have the right offer, the no-brainer offer, then when you start putting it out there in one place, you're going to have some traction. When that's working, bang, throw the fuel on the fire. Let's blow it up. Let's create that visibility that really puts you on the stage. So I like to call the first level of this is like you're the obvious choice. So people are finding you, seeing you, and going, yes, this is for me. This is the right choice. And they're signing up without hesitation or friction. That's when you know you've nailed it. Then you add the visibility, and now you become the go-to expert because more people know about you. So that's the progression. That's what you're looking at in terms of, okay, where do I go next? What do I work on? So if you're at stage one, you need to work on the positioning, your offer, and your sales system alignment. That's basically, there's a framework for that. I teach that inside Business Jam. Well, I'm saying there is a framework. I have a framework for it. I'm not sure how many people, no one has my framework because I created it. No doubt people teach various parts of it. But I think what I want you to take away from this episode is that what used to work, the sort of niching process that most people used to use, is not enough anymore. It is not working in terms of giving you enough space to be heard, because for most people, it's falling drastically short. So that is what you need if you're in that place. And then if you've got the offer that's working and you just don't have enough volume, then you're in the place where, boom, we're ready for visibility. And visibility is such a fun phase. It is like you've already got a sales system that's working, right? So you have to have that in order to have the offer that works. So there's the three parts, which I'll repeat because I know I went over it quickly. You've got your expert positioning, which is unique. So your unique space in the market. You've got your signature offer. That's basically how you help them get the outcome. Your way, that is a differentiator. It's not the same as what everyone else is offering. And you've got a really simple sales, I like to call it a sales system, that attracts the right people in and helps them to sign up for it. So yes, we're talking marketing and sales. It's a journey from end to end. The two pieces merge together beautifully. So it is one journey for your customer. So we'll just call it one thing. That is your initial framework. When you've nailed those three pieces, then you're adding visibility because you're ready to amplify. You're ready to grow and scale. If you try to jump into this next phase too soon, then you're just going to go round and round and round in circles. And this is what I call the visibility trap, because it traps people. It attracts you like a little shiny object of someone on Instagram saying, hey, I've got this amazing reel process and it'll make you go viral. And people go, yeah, I'll go viral. And then my business will work. It's like, no, the viral isn't going to make your business work. It's just adding eyeballs. Eyeballs on nothing is still nothing. Eyeballs on something that's not working is still something that's not working. It doesn't matter if one person sees it or 10,000 people see it. If it's not working, it's not working, right? So you don't need the visibility before you've got it working, before we've nailed that first bit. I call my program Business Jam because it's like we have made the jam. Yes. And now we're ready. Now we're ready to spread it. We're ready to make some jam cookies and do all the fun things with the jam, but you need the jam first. And that's the sweet way to do business. Haha, trying to make a pun there. Sorry about my really poor humor on that. So visibility, though, maybe you're in that place where you're like, yeah, I've got the first phase nailed. I've got my place in the market. I've got my offer. That's a no-brainer. And I've got the sales system. It's all working. It's functioning beautifully. Now I need to expand and grow. Visibility, what shall I do? Wow, the options are endless and amazing. I'm actually I'm speaking at an event this week. So what day are we? This episode has been published on Wednesday. I am speaking this coming weekend at an event called Visibility Velocity. And this is designed for those people who are at that next phase, at the phase where you're ready to blow your business up, like light the fire, let it blaze, let it go. And when I say blow up, I don't mean break it all apart. I mean blow it up on a larger scale. So this event is hosted by Melanie Benson, who is a visibility expert. She's been an authority builder for many, many years, a coach for much longer than I have, and she's a fantastic person. She's invited, I believe it's 22 different podcast hosts to join her at this summit, and we're taking live pitches from the audience of people who want to be on the podcast, which is going to be really fun. So during this event, there's a number of different speakers who are going to be speaking about strategies for being more visible, what you really need to know once you're in that phase. You know, there's always smarter ways and the way that people learn all the lessons. So if you're ready for phase 2, then grab a seat at this event. I'll drop the link for you in the show notes. It's called Visibility Velocity. It's going to be so much fun. There'll be live panels. I'm on a panel. I'm also one of the podcast hosts. So I'm going to be in the pitch room on day 3, listening to people pitching for guest spots on podcasts like this. And there's going to be other strategies as well. Even if you're thinking, don't know whether podcast guesting is really my thing, totally fine. There's many ways that you can get visibility. And I know that Melanie covers what those are as well. So definitely drop in and come along. I'd love to see you there, and we'll have a lot of fun at that event. And I'm really excited about helping more people to amplify their voice. So you can use podcast platforms such as mine and others, as well as other mediums, online, offline, like traditional media, to get your voice out there, to get your story out there, to help you create more visibility without actually even needing to get totally into the social media feed, because I'm a major fan of long-form content, of long-term content, so that you create something once and it keeps on working for you for months and even years to come. That is my preference always, and we're going to be talking about that at this event. So come along and I'll see you there. And if not, I'll see you back here next week with another great episode.